Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of Three Drams. As always, I am your host, Matt Healy from potstill.com, and I want to welcome you all to a fantastic evening. It is now February 2023. This is episode 28, and we are back in the world of Irish whiskey with new releases, brands we haven't seen before, brands we have seen on the show before as well, and we're bringing it all together in a big mesh and meld of the flavor makers and creators sitting here right in front of you in the screen. And I am delighted to see already in the comments section some familiar faces. We're seeing Kevin coming in from Germany. Always a great showing of our fans in Germany, of the fans of Irish whiskey. And of course, Mike D saying hello again. Always a great engagement from you, Mike. Great to see you again. JB dropping in from London. Always great to see people across the pond. And then, of course, Alan dropping in saying, can't wait to see tonight's lineup. As always, there are people all over the world who join us every month for 3 Drams, both live and after the fact. So if you're one of those people that's currently either asleep, in work, on the road, whatever it might be, because we have people all across the world in Brazil, in Japan, in Australia, in Canada, that are obviously all awkward time zones. A very big hello to you too. And I apologize, we can't be live in your time zones, but I am still delighted to have you in the replay after the fact. So a very big hello to you too. Then we've got Olivia coming in from Clare. It's great. Of course, we always have our lovely support in from sunny California. So Gary, hello to you. Listen, guys, as always, I am just here to do the fun part. As Pot Still Matt, I come to you once a month to talk to these flavor creators and makers. There's 3 great whiskeys in the lineup this evening, but none of this would be possible without the guys in 3 Drams and, of course, Irish Malt, that are the parent company of 3 Drams. There's a team there with the O'Donovan brothers that's put together all of these samples. They've rebottled them, they pay the taxes, they ship them all across the world, and they get them to your door in time every month. So a very big thank you to them. And if you do want to check out any of the whiskeys tonight, you can find them all on Irish Malts. So give them a Google. If you are a subscriber to 3 Drams, of course, remember, in your email inbox at 5 to 9 this evening, you will get a discount code to all the whiskeys individually, and then, of course, a bundle of all 3, and they will ship anywhere in the world straight to your door where it is legal to do so. I'm looking at you, multitude of states in the US. We have Gockrell in from Germany. Don't worry, we have a great supported group of Irish whiskey fans in Germany. And I'll tell you up front now, every month when I sit here with the guests, I pre-warn them that I will ask you, where is it available in Europe? And I pre-warn people at this point, with all of the people in asking about Germany. I tell every guest, mention Germany, whether it is or is not available in Germany, because it's going to be a question on the show. So I am delighted to see everyone in from Germany this evening, and I am delighted that we have 3 new whiskeys. Of course, we've got Croithlí with their new single malt. We've got Micil coming from the lovely city of Galway, and then, of course, Dunville's from Ecklenville Distillery coming in with a fantastic Palo Cortado expression. So I know none of you are here to listen to me, so I am delighted to be pulling up our first guest, because let's talk about it. Whiskey in the glass. Let's jump straight in. I am delighted to be welcomed to the show for the first time from Croithlí Distillery. We have Master Distiller Jack Mayo and Commercial Director Brendan McBride. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi there. How you doing?
Hi, Matt. Thanks for the introduction, Matt.
Not a problem at all. Thank you for being here. I know it's 8 p.m. on a well, actually pretty night. I was going to say a cold Thursday night, but we're coming into the summertime here, so it's not doing too bad. So, lads, tell us where in the country are you? And I'm going to pour a wee drop of Dram Number 1 into my glass, and then I'll have a little nose as you give us a little introduction.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so I'll just handle that. So hello, everyone. There's online. I see your comments, Germany and London, California, etc. So this is our first time we're doing this. So in partnership with Irish Malt, so and 3 Drams. So brilliant. Thanks, Matt. So we're in Donegal, County Donegal, which is the northwest part of Ireland. We're one of probably a distillery. We opened and released our product just last July. So we're just rolling out. Germany, is someone mentioned Germany? Yeah, we will be available in May in Germany, as those who are interested. Yeah, we're just working through that at the moment. The history is, the context is, so what we've done here, we have a Croithlí. So Croithlí, everything is Asgaelica. So this is quite interesting. Is Croithlí also in English is pronounced the same, Croithlí, Crolly. and it's a Gaelic, Gaelica Irish, Irish for the townland. Croithlí has been around quite a while, and the building we're in is an old factory built in 1901, an old stone cut building in 1901. And the ironic thing about it is our range is called Killandara. Killandara meaning small oak grove in English. Killandara as Gaelica. And on our small oak grove, we have our distillery located there, which was built in 1901. And we have a range of product. This one we're showcasing tonight is a European oak, and it's Quercus Robur. We're glad to be involved. We're really, really excited. And we really love to hear the feedback that we have here. So I'll hand over to Jack, and Jack will take you through
as I pull Jack up here, I'm going to pull up the picture of the bottle again, just so we can see. So this is the bottle that we'll be sampling tonight. Croithlí Quercus Robur, single malt, 46%. Yeah.
And that's our heritage there in Donegal as well. Those looking at that, the whole branding is that heritage of Donegal, the landscape. We've very much focused on that. And we have a great reaction so far to the brand, which is brilliant for a new launch. It's really fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, Jack, welcome to the show. How are you doing? As I sláinte you.
Thanks very much. So got my whiskey ready.
Exactly.
So
that's the most important part.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after quite a long day. I've been up since 4:30 this morning, so it's been a long day. So thanks everyone for joining. I know there's going to be different levels of experience in tasting whiskey, from novice all the way through to people that want to put me right on things. So I'll try to answer as many questions as I can as and when they come through. What we're drinking here is the Croithlí Quercus Robur, which is the European oak. It's quite commonly called red oak in Europe, although a botanist would probably slap your hands for calling it that. This particular liquid is finished in a virgin European oak cask. It's a trifecta release, so there is an Alba, which is the American white oak, which is what you typically get with a bourbon. There's Quercus Petraea, which is much more common in wine production, and Limousin, and this Robur, which is much more common in sherry casks. So typically, these casks are filled with sherry for anywhere between 2 and 4 years. They strip out a lot of the tannin from the wood, and then that sherry subsequently will be turned into vinegar, and then the casks will be shipped over to Ireland or Scotland and have a sherry matured whiskey like that. However, we've taken the whiskey we've taken the cask as a virgin cask, so it's never had anything in it before. You have to be particularly careful with these casks because they are quite high in tannin and they mature particularly quickly. So this is why we've taken an already mature single malt whiskey, which we've selected to not be overly flavorful, but nice and balanced flavor, to which we're then adding a bit of nuance on top of with this virgin cask release. Quercus Robur is particularly gingery and winter spices that you get from it, and as I say, it can take over particularly quickly. So this is finished for anywhere between 6 and 8 months. If you were to mature in this virgin oak for several years on end, you would just taste far too much wood. What we're trying to showcase here is how different species of oak, which they've quite often been unsung, or they've quite often been underrepresented for where they would be choosing other attributes. So we're trying to showcase what these different species of oak. And if one day we do find an oak species that doesn't work, we probably won't release it, but we'll probably tell people why we don't release it. But we are open to different challenges, looking at different species of oak as well. So as I say, people will call this red oak. It's not red oak. It is a species of white oak, but it does give a particularly darker color to a whiskey. On the nose, I find this whiskey still quite fresh and bright. There's not too much of that gingery character coming through, but there's a little bit of spice coming through. It's not overpowering at all. It is.
I'm going to pull everyone back up so we can have a little nose together here.
Okay, no problem at all. So I should warn people, it is at 46%, so it is a little bit of a higher ABV than a bog standard whiskey. It's not at 40%. It is non-chill filtered as well, so it hasn't gone through any harsh filtration process, and it is natural colouring as well. So it's the trifecta of things you want to look for in a good single malt whiskey.
I'll say slaunch it to all three of you and everyone in the comments. We sip here now. It's lovely. It's malty, but it's fresh. It's bright. There's a lot. It's layered really nicely. It's not a cask led whiskey, but it's not a grain led whiskey either. It's quite very nicely layered.
Yeah, we've found, particularly with this species over the other two species that we've got, we're getting quite a bit of chocolate coffee notes, which you can typically get from a malt led spirit if you're doing that particular style of spirit. But by choosing a fruit led spirit, for want of a better word, we've got in the base whiskey, before we're adding this final character, they're quite light, apples, pears, stone fruit, those sorts of things. But we're adding in the spice, chocolate, coffee, cinnamon, ginger. Those sorts of notes are coming through from the whiskey. There's no age statement on it, so it's not it's not a 25-year-old whiskey by any stretch. But there is a decent finish to this whiskey. I would say it gives people something a little bit different to what you'd get from a typical sherry finished cask or from a typical bourbon cask. There's not a lot of vanilla. There's not a big punch of vanilla. There's not too much sweetness coming from a sherry bombed finish that you would get. So something just a little bit quirky and a little bit different, which is slightly what we at Croithlí are all about as well.
Oh, fantastic. And is this a core release? Is this going to be like an ongoing statement, or is this kind of a one-off limited release?
This is part of a trilogy of a range, Matt. So we have the Sessile, as Jack talked about, and then we have the Alba, Quercus Alba. It's a release. It's not limited. It's a release which will keep us going for hopefully, the next couple of years. Yeah, and let's see where it goes.
Okay, so Croithlí Distillery. Sorry, Matt, go on.
No, I was just going to say, so all three whiskeys will be kind of core release for the next while.
Yeah. And they all complement each other. So someone who likes a Robur, we've done quite well. Why we've chosen this one over the others, quite honestly, is that this those who may know, we won an award in the recent for this last October. So that was quite nice. And the second thing is in the Sessile end, which is we teamed the Irish oak or the native tree of Ireland. Because it's kind of where we are in Donegal, and you have that landscape thing, it sells quite well. So they all actually complement each other. Someone likes Robur, someone likes the Alba, someone likes the Sessile. So yeah, it's we're pleasantly surprised. We have to say, we with Jack, we worked quite hard in picking the virgin oaks. We've gone this virgin oak, which it's very, very important. It's a species, virgin oak species range, and that's the uniqueness we have, and it's the wood is doing the work here, which is really, really good.
Before we jump too far forward, I made a big speech at the beginning about alerting everyone to answer whether or not it's available in Germany. And one of our most famous viewers, who asks every month if it's available in Germany, Tina, showed up late and missed that whole segment on whether or not it was available in Germany. So Tina, every guest is going to tell you whether or not they're available in Germany, and Gockrell can attest to this. Lads, will this be available in Germany?
Can I ask you there, just sorry, cut across. Tina has been in Croithlí last summer.
Supposedly, yes.
Yeah, so brilliant. Thanks for calling. Yeah.
Answer the question then, Brendan, or re-answer the question. Yeah, May is the answer. It'll be available in May, Tina, in Germany.
Perfect.
But at the moment, it's available through the Irish Malts, and it's through our own website as well. So so it's ready to go.
Fantastic. So Tina, I hope you're very happy with that answer. Mike D dropping and saying he thinks the tasting notes are spot on in his opinion. And Kevin in Germany also testing, and he assures you guys will find a way to get it to Germany if it's not there already. So fantastic. Guys, you want to tell us a little bit about the distillery as we imbibe upon this lovely whiskey? I also, before we jump into the distillery, I didn't ask you about the price point of this whiskey.
So the pricing is at €79. That's in the context. In Germany, that will be less because of that and the different things. But in Ireland, it's 79 through the website. Is 79 currently. Yeah, each market will have its own set prices thereafter. In the context of the distillery, so we're quite unique in the context of we're a very small. We describe ourselves boutique. We describe ourselves as a small craft distillery. We use cognac stills in our distillation, and the other unique part, and they were sourced in the Cognac region and refurbished and brought back to Croithlí. And Jack, you can come here. The second part is we use direct fire as a uniqueness as well. Yeah. So Jack.
Yeah. So from a nerdy point of view, those that want to know, direct fire and worm tubs are the things that have largely been forgotten about in the whiskey industry
Two magical words.
Exactly, yeah. Along with chill filtered, non-chill filtered, I should say.
Yeah.
Natural colouring.
Is Maillard reaction something that you're going for, that kind of layered charring effect on the stills?
It absolutely is. So other producers may be using specialty malt to do that, whereas we don't have to. It is direct flame, so you can see the flame through the window underneath the still, and it does get hot. And because these are ex-cognac stills as well, they've got pre-warmers on them. So there's this vessel basically, which is using the vapor from the still to preheat the next charge going into the still, which is also adding a lot of esterification, so a lot of fruit character building in that stage as well. So there's a lot of reaction going on before it even gets into the still. So the stills are relatively unique. They're relatively small as well. They're only 1,800 liters or thereabouts. The distillery is particularly small by the standards of what I'm used to working with. It's a 350 kilo mash or thereabouts, although that is doubling in size in the next few months. So that would translate to about 1 barrel per production run.
It's bigger than some, smaller than others.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but compared to some of the ones I deal with about 5 tons, it's this. I've worked with some small distilleries in the past, and the production is usually less than the angel share of the bigger guys. So that puts things in perspective.
Exactly. Well, I'm sure it's a lot of fun working there. And when it's coming to the actual distillation, obviously you've got your pre-warming kind of probably as you're estifying change things a little bit. But is it a double distillation? Is it triple? Is it using the same cognac setup for both distillations then, or so?
It's double distillation, and there's 2 stills. Although the wash still is run on about a 6-hour cycle. The spirit still, I should say, is about the same size as the wash still, so it's particularly oversized, and that means we have one much longer, slower distillation, so we can get a lot more reflux going on in that second distillation. So the second distillation takes about 12 or 13 hours per run, compared to an industry standard of anywhere between 6 and 8. So a much slower process.
Tina is asking whether or not you guys will be coming to Whiskey Live Dublin again this year.
Yeah, we will be. We're booked to stand again. Yes, we met you there last time, Tina. Yes, so it was a great event for us, and that's actually, believe it or not, we just had almost the packaging labels ready. I think we hand applied the labels just the day before Whiskey Live this year, or last year, sorry, 2022. So we got there. We've since put in a bottling line into our plant as well, which is up and running as well. So we've invested quite a bit to get some good whiskey out to you guys. And thanks for all the positive comments on the whiskey and the flavors. And really looking forward to getting samples or getting stock to you guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I know because some people will be very intrigued. Will there be any samples of new make at Whiskey Live on the stand, or will it be exclusively the
No, we had new make there last year, and we had the pot still with new make, so that was there. It was quite interesting to tell you a story on that, because the word got out and everyone kept coming down, particularly from the organisers who are quite they're quite into their whiskies, yeah. And one would come down in with a black T-shirt, and you know who I'm talking about. Like someone else would come down, and they were all, "Oh, taste this new make." Yeah, so we've brilliant plans for that. Yeah, brilliant.
Fantastic. And is the distillery set up? Is it making malt predominantly, or is it pot still predominantly, or what's the breakdown?
It's what, Jack? Was it
60-40? It's about 60% single malt, 40% pot still. So we've increased the pot still production over our initial ambitions to be something 70-30 or something like that.
Okay, and my understanding, Jack, is you kind of came from the single malt world, if that's correct. It was
It is,
pot
yeah.
still a interesting departure from that world.
It is, yeah. I am geographically stuck in Scotland. Mentally, not so much. It's very draconian, the rules over here. So it's wonderful to be able to experiment a little bit more.
Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I very much appreciate it. If people want to find you online, is there a website you could direct them to?
Yeah, so it's the Croithlí, THG, Croithlí, Crolly, distillery.com.
Fantastic. So remember, guys, if you want to find a bottle of this, you can find it on both the Croithlí website and also Irish Malts. They will drop directly to your door. This was the Quercus Robur single malt, 46%. To both Jack and Brendan, thank you so much for your time. I very much appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for hosting.
Thank you so much.
Well done, Matt. Thank you.
Well, I am delighted that we're steaming ahead, as always, with fantastic whiskies. We've had the Croithlí now. They're seeing a lot of love in the comments section. But now we have Micil, Earls Island, single pot still, Dram Iver Gaw from Andriglon as far in Galiv. It is an old friend of mine, Mihal. How are you doing?
That's fine yourself. How's the form?
All well here. How is the form in Galway? What is because you're in the distillery right now?
I'm in the distillery.
I presume Jameen is downstairs working away. Is he?
No, I kicked him out because he's making too much noise.
That makes sense. Yeah,
I'm hammering things. So I was like, no, we're gonna have a nice, quick, peaceful tasting this evening. But yeah, no, he was here till a few minutes ago.
Oh, very good. Well, I will say for anyone in the world that knows Micil, loves Micil, quite a number of years ago, I dropped down and I had a fantastic time exploring the distillery. It is small but very authentic. The spirit, particularly the poitín, is spectacular. But what people, I suppose, some people will know that it is an Irish language operated distillery. But what people won't know is the two of us went to school together. And you're from Galway and worked for other whiskey distilleries, and then have since transitioned back as a Gaeilgeoir to an Irish speaking distillery. I mean, in the city you grew up in, which must be fantastic.
Yeah, the homecoming story. You know that's where we're going to go with. But yeah, no, it's great to be back in Galway. And I mean, I've gone from working for a mega distillery is probably the best way to describe the size of it. Some a little bit smaller, but like I said, authenticity is kind of at the heart of what we are here in Micil and Galway. I don't know if anyone here has got to visit us yet, but we're very nice people, and it's definitely worth a visit. Not just because Galway's beautiful, the whiskey's great, but we're in the back of a pub, so we can have a couple of drinks afterwards as well, which is always a benefit.
The distillery is not too dry in itself anyway, so
no. We're fairly good at watering people. You can get Supermax or get fed. It's a local delicacy here in Galway. Supermax, if anyone comes to visit, it's particularly good after a couple of pints.
Exactly. It sounds like the other side of that bar has been having a few pints now. That crash.
Yeah. Knocking stuff over.
Exactly. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour Dram Iver Gaw here into the glass. I suppose, first of all, why don't you tell us what you do with Micil and then what we have in the glass so people can get to know you a little bit better?
I like to go by the pretty face or the best mustache at Micil. I'm not allowed to put that on my business card. I do a bit of sales, marketing, advocacy. As many of you know, when you're in a small distillery, it's great to get to wear a load of different hats. But for the last while, it's been developing the on-trade here in Galway, getting a good word of Micil out there, and kind of launching some of our newer products, like the batch 2 of this of Earls Island that we're going to try now in a few minutes. But yeah, do a lot of different things during the day. I was up in Dublin today doing a trade walkabout. We had a group up from the UK yesterday, so we're going to be launching over there pretty soon, which is exciting. So we're going to be not in Germany this week. We'll be in Germany in 3 weeks' time, and we're available on irishwhiskey.de. I think is the website.
Irishwhiskies.de. Yeah,
Marika. I think I got that one right. So lots happening and lots to do as part of it all.
Well, first of all, Tina, if you didn't believe me before, everyone was prepped on talking about Germany.
Yeah.
If anyone else needs to know around the world, put it in the comments section.
2 minutes ago, and Matt's like, 2 things you need to know: what title are we going for, and Germany. So
yeah,
Nice.
So I'm going to pull up a picture of the bottle here, and why don't you tell us what we have tasting in the glass? So this is a beautifully dressed bottle.
So this is batch number 2 of our Earls Island, our Earls Island single pot still. It is, I suppose, we try to give everything a sense of place in products here in Galway, or based on here in Galway. So Inverin, our pushing is very much about Connemara, and with this Island series, with this whiskey here, we're going to pay homage to Galway's distilling past, and Galway City's distilling past specifically. So we're releasing an Island series. There's 3 islands in Galway City Centre. There is Earls Island, which if you're in the university. There's Nuns Island if you are, it's actually where the old Quercus distillery used to be here in Galway, where the nuns now live. And if you've been a bad person, you're on Madeira Island, which is where the Garda station is. So we're releasing a whiskey for each of them to kind of showcase Galway's distilling past. One thing we had a lot of in Galway in the past, it was the major port for Latin Europe into Ireland. So we had a load of wine. So the first batch we wanted to pay homage to that was with a red wine finish, Bordeaux finish. So we got 3-year-old pasta, which was all in ex-bourbon barrels. We just gorged it, and we sourced our own red wine barrels and ex-peat barrels. So it's split between 75.5% into Bordeaux barrels, red wine barrels, more specifically Médoc. I can't go any more specific than that, but they're the barrels that we use. And then 24.5% went into ex-peat barrels, which we turned into quarter casks. So if people want to kind of get it on the nose, I'm not a big red wine drinker, but like on the nose, you get those big red wine notes straight away. They hit you. There's kind of a lovely spice down in there. The cinnamon, nutmeg. I was like, do you know those sweets your granny always give you? The kind of boiled strawberry and cream sweets.
Yeah,
that just like jumps out of me, and it really exemplifies up on the palate. Sláinte. On the palate, it's really lively. The phrase I like to use for this is contemporary pot still. So it's pot still that's not from Middleton. This is purposely young. It's really vibrant on the palate. It jumps all around the place. Those kind of undernotes like tart, red currants. Again, almost like baked apples. It's lovely. I haven't had this one in a while, and I'm really enjoying it. It's one of those whiskeys, and it's a really cheesy thing to say. It always puts a smile on my face when I drink it.
I can see that.
So this is batch number 2. So this is what batch number 1 looked like. It didn't have a gold coin. It was a bit more bland label. We kind of upgraded now to batch 2. Can't really see it on the camera too well. But we've got gold coin, gold foiling all over it. And this one actually has first fill and second fill barrels. So if you have batch 1 and you can compare it to batch 2, there's a bit more kind of texture in there. It's been aged a little bit longer, so I think it's definitely moving in the right direction. Not that it was already a great whiskey, but it's definitely getting better. This is really good if people are into making cocktails and they don't mind using good whiskey. Really good in that can be controversial sometimes. If someone told you how to go eat your food, I'd have a very polite remark to go tell them. It's the same when you drink your whiskey. Really good with the red ale. Francisco Well, Chieftain IPA in this, our best of friends. Yeah, and Kevin said there that the texture on this whiskey is great. It's almost tannic in quality. So when you're making drinks with it, there's that extra texture in the background there, which is really, really nice.
Well, I think for me, what I really like about it as well is that he said it was peated quarter or peated casks he made into quarters, I suppose. Can be particularly peated quarter casks can be very overpowering or very dominant in flavors. I think you said 24.5%, very specific, but
very specific. Yeah, it was. I think it was. We had 3 225 liter Médoc casks, and we had 2 110 liter peated whiskey casks.
Wow.
Everything we're going to do at Micil will have some form of smoke element to it all. So in the Inverin line, it's actually there's peated components in it. Our pushing is peated, or our heritage pushing is. After this, we wanted to kind of add that, keep that peat story going on, but we did it through texture in the barrel. It's particularly good with younger whiskeys. It just adds an extra bit of depth to it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I'm very much enjoying here. I find even whiskeys I've made myself in professionally, like you can as you're sitting there on the blending table, even the smallest drops can really blow the texture apart and the flavor, and you have to be very careful with it. But this is layered so beautifully that it adds substance, but it isn't overpowering. You're not licking an ashtray either. It's a fantastic. It's a fantastic balance to this. I really enjoy it.
And a lot of people won't even pick up on the peatiness. And again, like it isn't peated. It's a wrong word. It kind of messes with people's heads a bit when you say there's a peat component to it. The peat component is just the barrel that it was aged in.
No, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, we actually transparency is a big thing for us here at Micil, and we actually have it on it. So we're pretty open. We have put down whiskey. We actually laid down the first whiskey in over 110 years here in November 2021. So it will be whiskey, or 2020. So actually this November we'll have the first whiskey in Galway in over 110 years. So after we laid that down, we obviously wanted to start get on the journey of building a brand. So this is source stock, but on the side of the bottle, New Valley Transparency. So we actually have the recipe for it on our website. So in theory, you can go to the website, like that's what they use. You can go to them, buy it, and put in those quantities. But we've gone a long way to source our own barrels and all that stuff to really put our own Micil stamp on it.
Exactly. And how is the distillery going in Galway?
Great. It's getting bigger and bigger. I should probably show a little bit about our back. I don't know if people know about it. So we we took a kind of a different approach to most of the distilleries who lay down whiskey, then started making gin and all that kind of stuff. We actually started as a poaching company. So poaching here in Ireland is, I don't know, it was an illicit spirit until 1997. Kind of split whiskey all the way back in 1661, depending, on your histories and stuff. And Porrick and his brother are sixth generation. Porrick and his brother Jimmy, who's our head distiller now, are sixth generation poaching makers. And they learned, obviously, theoretically, how to distill from their granddad Jimmy on this little bad boy over here. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
that's the real still that belonged to their grandfather. So we've gone from that. We moved from that up to a bigger, like I think it was like 200 liter still. We're now operating off a 500 liter still here in the distillery, and hopefully we go in for a planning permission for a distillery sometime in the near future to really ump it up to the next level.
And will that be in Galway City, or will it be pushing out to the outskirts, or
more out towards Connemara? That's where the lads are from. Out towards, they like to say 20 kilometers from here west. The lads are from Inverness, so it'll be out that way. Not in.
Okay.
So
it's a slightly longer commute for you, but the lads will be at home anyway.
Yeah. They'll be happy out.
Very good. So I suppose going forward, are we going to see this as kind of a core release? Is it batch releases? Are they going to change? How does the future of Earls Island look?
This is batch release. So this is batch number 2. The first batch release, there's only about 1,200 bottles, and that sold out. We sold out about 6 weeks of it from the distillery, which is great. So this one we've made a lot more. There is 4,118 bottles to be exact of batch number 2, and this is for the foreseeable future. We're going to keep this. This Island series. We launched one recently in November, which is a Madeira finished single pot still, which has been getting rave reviews. This one is a little sweeter, but it's one of those whiskeys you pour in front of you, the bottle will be gone. You could drink it full, drink responsibly, obviously. But yeah, I've covered my ass now. you could put a good dent in a bottle of this. And this one particularly, I never really was a person for like beer and whiskey tasting, really elevating the experience. But this one with a hazy IPA or a Citra IPA, it's special. It's really, really good. I may have gotten, it's really good for cocktails, whiskey sours. I may have gotten in trouble for making a porn star martini with it, but it was so good I'll probably do it again. Not all the time. And it's probably blasphemy for some people here to say that, but it's a really, really good whiskey. And then we have Nun's Island is the third island that we haven't come up for, but I've been vetoed on Blue Nun, which I think would be probably niche enough that it might work, but also so niche that it'd probably completely fail. So we're not going to do that one, I don't think.
I don't know if anyone still holds the trademark to Blue Nun these days.
It re-released like 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
It's off the market, yeah. That and Baby Champ, 2 throwbacks blast from the past.
Exactly. I have to source down a bottle. My mum tells many stories of being on Leeson Street in her 20s drinking Blue Nun. So
yeah,
I'll have to find her a birthday present of that. So I suppose going forwards, the whiskey's turning 3 in, what do you say, November this year?
November this year, yeah.
And will we see a release at that point, or will it be kind of a 5-year project down the line, or how does it look in the distillery?
My understanding is we'll definitely release something. There won't be much of it. So again, throwback to our poaching heritage. A lot of what we do here, and also 2 of the poaching heritage also were really small. It takes 8 days to make a 200 liter barrel of whiskey. So we only have one still. So we have to run it through a copious amount of times to get a distillate off of it. So double distilled, so quarter barrels. So we'll probably release maybe 100 or 150-ish bottles of the first release, I'd imagine. We're doing 3 different styles. So we have single malt, single pot still, and what we call a heritage pure pot still. It's got 35% adjunct grains in it, so it's not really meeting any criteria at the moment. But it's very similar to what whiskey would have been made like back in the day. It's very sympathetic to some older recipes. So that's pretty exciting.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So if anyone's, we're going to be Whiskey Live this year. So if anyone comes around and says they're on this and asks me really nicely, I might have a sample of it.
I heard it here first.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to bring a bit more samples. We might have less bottles to give out in November if everyone comes to it. But yeah, the stuff is super, super good. It's finished in 5 different barrels, and it's a really exciting time for Micil.
And how are you finding, I suppose, the reaction around the world, whether it be for the poaching or the poaching cream or these whiskies? How is Micil, I suppose, when you're in front of, particularly in Europe, and you know, both yourself and myself have experience in the States and in Europe and further afield. The European consumers can be very Scotch centric and single malt centric. How does Micil, I suppose, land with the particularly the European consumers?
People love it. And it's funny, like even I was probably a little skeptical at the very beginning when I joined the company. I was like, a peated blend, Irish blend, was this for Inverness, not for the pot still. It's kind of our flagship. I was like, that's it felt like it was maybe a little bit niche, but people absolutely love it. It won best blend this year at the Irish Whiskey Awards. And actually, Ali Alpine came down to us to say that and we don't get an award for this, but I tell everyone this, that in the blind tasting, it was the second highest rated whiskey overall, ahead of, just behind the Dunville's 21-year-old, the Palo Cortado single cask, that we were runner-up. There is no runner-up prize. They don't announce it, but he came down to say that specifically to us, which isn't too bad for a 45-euro blend. So we're super proud about that. People really like it. The poaching, it's like, I suppose it's actually easier to sell poaching to people from outside of Ireland nearly, because you mentioned poaching to people in Ireland and there's like a shudder. Like people like they're like everyone's heard a story about someone going blind, someone dying from some bathtub moonshine that was made, and it was awful. They rub into their muscles before a match or whatever. But actually, when they try our heritage poaching specifically, our classic and our heritage, they're so blown away by how tasty it is. It's really, really delicious. We use 100% malted barley. There's kind of a myth about potatoes being what's used in it, but there's 2 good reasons why potatoes were never really used in poaching. They didn't arrive until the 1600s, and we've been distilling in Ireland, all the way back to 1300s or six. I don't even know. There's so many dates get thrown around. We've been distilling for a long time without them, and then the family did a pretty good job of wiping them out. So it isn't a part of what we do here. They're great for adding flavor and textures. But I'm getting distracted now. I'm really bad. I have to bring myself back. I don't know why I'm talking about potatoes and poaching. We're talking about whiskey today.
That's all right.
But the poaching is really, really well received. People love it. People kind of find it quite similar to tequila. And then the heritage would be kind of like a mezcal. So particularly for trendy bartenders, I think it's really cool and they like it. And that's Absolutely. Good for me.
Exactly. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So how much does the Earls Island retail for?
That's Madeira. It is €55. You'll see it. I think it's 55 on Irish Malt Saline. That's kind of what we charge. Sure, you might see it 60 some places, but we think it's a super good value for quite exciting, quite different. It's not so different that it's niche, but some a little different in the category. All the whiskey we produce and put out, it's not for collecting and it's not for sitting on shelves. We want people to be able to drink it. So a price where it's not, it's not cheap, but it's a good value price for what you're getting. The kind of price you'll take a chance on.
Exactly. Well, I'm just seeing Mike saying he's just finished his own bottle of Micil poaching, and Kevin in Germany saying he presented the heritage poaching to his German in-laws and they loved it. So all good reports all around. And remember, you can get both Earls Island and, of course, all of the Micil range on irishmalts.com. So
Corey's in the background here. He's beaming hearing that. Well, coming over now. Yeah, don't tell him any of the things I was talking about him. But this year is Porrick, our founder.
Hi, Matt.
Porrick, how are you doing, Constantine?
Well, get away.
Oh, well, here I was saying it's a live from Andriglon as far in Galiev. So I'm delighted to have the founder on the show
I'm not, I don't
here.
think
So I'm delighted to have our guests on Three Drams.
Neil's limelight here. He's doing a far better job than I would, you know. So there you go. So just said I'd pop in to say hello.
No, absolutely fantastic. And it's been a long time. The last time I was down with yourself, we did a Pot Still Radio broadcast. I think it was the second recording I ever did. It was probably like 2018 or 2017. So it was early doors for both of us at that point for the podcasting. So it's great to see you striving and going from win to win.
Wonderful. Listen, I leave you to it, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, Mihal. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Everyone who is subscribed to 3 Drams, you will have the discount code for this fantastic Micil Earls Island in your inbox in about 10 minutes. For everyone else, what are you doing? Get on 3 Drams, get a bottle, get it straight to your door. If you're like Tina in Germany, Tina, you know Mareike, you know she's got bottles of the whole range. Get yourself sorted. Kevin as well. Don't worry about it. Mihal, to you, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no worries. Absolute pleasure. And if anyone's in Galway, come say hi or I'll see you at Whiskey Live.
I'm expecting a party this year in November now, right?
Absolutely. You come down and you say mine.
Perfect. Even better. All right. Good luck, Mihal. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
So I am thrilled. So far, fantastic response from both, I suppose, myself, because I'm a fan of all of these distilleries and these brands, but also everyone in the comments section. There's been some great whiskies. But now one of the most, I suppose, exciting, sought after brands from one of the coolest distilleries on the northeast coast. We have Mr. Jarlath Watson from Dunville's and Ecklenville distillery with his Palo Cortado 10-year-old single malt. Jarlath, welcome to the show. What about you?
Hey, Matt. Exciting, sought after, cool. Yeah, I'll take that.
Well, I mean, there's not too many distilleries that will sell out almost all of their releases day of. And if anyone has been watching the Dunville's bottles, usually the malts, the Palo Cortados, I know you've done a few funeral releases, they tend to sell out day of. So I think it's a fair moniker to give you that it's I still, in distillery terms, I'm still trying to get a bottle of the old Cumber blended pot still. That I every time it goes on sale, it's gone. And like by the time it's posted, by the time I click the link, it's sold out. So
if you're talking to me tomorrow, remind me. I might have one.
We'll keep that quiet, right?
Yeah.
Well, Charlotte, what do we have in the glass this evening? Because I'm gonna show Dram River tree right here. Well, it's always reversed. So
so tonight we're tasting a 10-year-old version of our single malt finished in Palo Cortado sherry crafts. We started playing with Palo Cortado crafts probably about 2015, 16. I think our first release was maybe 3 years later of the 18-year-old. It's a craft format that is not used very much in whiskey full stop and has not been used in Irish whiskey really at all before Dunville's. Probably the reason for that is that Palo Cortado is a very, very rare sherry. I think maybe between 1 and 2 of every 1,000 bottles of sherry sold is a Palo Cortado. So there's very, very little of it about, and therefore very few casks about. They tend to be very expensive. They are detrimental, and therefore they don't tend to be used very much in whiskey finishing. But we love them. They really sit well with that double distilled spirit that we're finishing, and whether it's the 10-year-old, the 18-year-old, or the 21. Funny, there's a 21-year-old Simra craft being released tomorrow. That's the craft that won Ireland's best whiskey at the 2022 World Whiskey Awards, ahead of Micil, as the lads were saying there, which is a great whiskey, by the way. And it's been released tomorrow. It's a 21-year-old Palo Cortado that's been in the sherry cask for 7 years. This one we're tasting today is a 10-year-old version that's been in the sherry cask, I'm going to guess, 2.5 years. It's probably 11 years old in fairness, and it went in at 8, so it's just coming between that 2 and 3 years in Cortado. We like, as you know, Matt, we like big, heavy
Finishes,
succulent, juicy, sweet,
all
thick,
about it.
syrupy, creamy whiskey. So we put our whiskey in sherry casks and forget about them.
Exactly.
You know, we operate dunnage warehousing, and when you operate dunnage warehousing, you sort of have to forget about them because it's
because you can't be pulling them apart.
It's 3 or 4 years before they come around in the cycle again, and you just can't get to them, you know. So yeah, like I say, I mean, it just fits into that. It fits into that Dunville's DNA of juicy, creamy, luscious, luxurious whiskies. And yeah, that's what we're tasting tonight.
Jarlath, I do want to jump in as well. You mentioned that whatever was it, 1 in 1,000 sherry bottles sold is Palo Cortado, but not for dislike of the sherry, but that it is incredibly different. It's almost accidental to make. It's an incredibly it's rare in its production rather than rare in its.
So there's 2 ways of making Palo Cortado. The very, very rare way is an oloroso that doesn't form across the floor.
Yeah.
But the more common way, and it's very uncommon still, is where you try and create a Fino sherry. And a Fino sherry during its time in the cask will form a floor, a crust. A crust will form on top of the liquid within the sherry cask, and that crust will block any further the layer of air that's in the cask. So once that crust, that floor forms, any further fermentation and fortification happens in the absence of oxygen. So it happens anaerobically. And that's how a Fino is formed. In a very, very rare number of cases, for some reason, that crust, that floor will break during the maturation in the cask. So what they do, whenever the floor forms, they'll draw a straight line across the head of the cask to show that the floor has formed. If the floor breaks, they'll draw a diagonal line up through the straight line to show that the floor is now broke. So Palo Cortado means broken stick in Spanish. It translates as broken stick or cut stick, probably more accurately cut stick. So the line, the stick has been broken or cut. So what happens is that Fino that was developing anaerobically, the floor breaks, air gets in, and it goes to form. It goes on then to form or to mature and ferment aerobically. And when that happens, they would call it a Palo Cortado, and it happens in about 3% of Finos. So in a very rare case, and it gives Palo Cortados would have a tangy note to them. A crisp light, like think white fruits, you know, like mangoes, pears, apricots, that type of fruit. Not your standard heavier sherry fruits of figs and dates and, you know, those heavier, dark stone fruits that will normally be associated with sherries. They are in there, but you also get these lighter, whiter, and almost tropical fruits. One flavor profile that I really get in the 10-year-old, and as it gets from the 10-year-old to the 18 to 21, it actually changes. And there's a lactobacteria, a lactic acid flavor note in there. And when I say that, I think of that natural Greek yogurt. Think of that, you know, that tiny sharpness of a natural Greek yogurt.
Kind of tartness, yeah.
Yeah, and that actually comes from a lactobacteria, it's called the malolactic fermentation. So malic acid is present in most fruits, including grapes. During that flour breaking up, the malic acid turns to lactic acid. Very specifically during that point where a Fino turns to a Palo Cortado, and it gives you it translates in the whiskey on the nose as a tanginess and almost like to me it's that natural yogurt flavor. Now that flavor actually dissipates as it goes from 10 years old to 21 years old, or it goes from 2 years in the cask to 6 years in the cask. You'll find that natural yogurt note dies down and this tobacco note almost replaces it. So the 21-year-olds will have lots and lots of tobacco. This is a bit more of that natural yogurt tanginess, almost a sharpness to it, which works really well at the start of the palate and on the nose with those. I get pear drops and whiter fruits that I said, maybe candied apricots and that type of thing.
Well, I'll say slow to Jared because I'm dying to taste it here. So
yeah,
look at the color. Look at the color of that. Look at the absolute color of that.
And again, like everything we do is non-chill filtered, and
I don't think anyone needs to be told that's naturally colored right there.
Colored, non-chill filtered and naturally colored as all Dunville range. So yeah, I mean, you just get that lovely sweet juiciness, that lovely creamy mouthfeel. Whiskey should be luxurious, Matt. Whiskey should be luxurious. It should taste luxurious, and they should feel luxurious in your mouth. It should be the whole experience should be a luxury experience, and we put a lot of emphasis on that creaminess, that juiciness, that how that lines your mouth. Fresh sherry cask.
It's developing as I breathe.
Yeah, and it will develop from those lighter notes. It will develop from those whiter fruits into those darker stone fruits. Probably more raisins and more of those lighter stone fruits. It doesn't really hit those deep, dark dates and figs of those olorosos and PXs, but it threatens to go that way. And then it's got that lovely medium finish. I get clove and nutmeg are the two spices that I really get in this one.
Well, it's funny because as I sit with the glass and my nose pressed into it, I pulled up Dram Experiences tasting notes there. One of the things I get layered at the back is a very kind of almost zesty chocolate orange hidden in the back. Yeah. And I just thought it was interesting that Dram Experience's note at the very end was orange and chocolate, because that's
and it's also right. I get spiced banana cake or spiced banana bread in this one, but he's saying banana, and he's right. That chocolate orange, it's a classic note in the Dunville's range. From the PXs through the Olorosos. It's that candied orange. We call it the Dunville's grace note. It's that grace note. It just lifts every Dunville's, that sweet candied orange and chocolate orange, and it's just a wonderful note in the whiskies if it's balanced properly. And that's one of the pillars of Dunville's, Matt, is getting the balance right. We really strive to get balance in a whiskey. Is it bottled at the right ABV for the alcohol? Is there a right amount of sherry influence? For the age of it, is the ABV right for the aged? And it's not getting the balance of the age, the ABV, and the sherry influence, the bourbon influence, the whiskey influence, getting all that to marry in this lovely balance. And those lovely creamy sugars that are in those sherry casks that we get out through 3, 4, 5 years maturation really help that balance. And that's what we try and do.
I think it's spectacular. What will Tina dropping it? This is a really great taste. Look at that. That's a resounding tasting note right there. Charlotte, if this is still available, I don't know if it's a core range or multiple releases, but if it's still available, what will this set you back on? Irish malt?
So this will be in our core range for at least 1.5 years, 2 years, and I think beyond that, I think we have stocks of this for probably the next 5 years. Thankfully, because it's turned out it actually needs that extra 6 months. It needs to be 11 years old and not 10. Which this is, it'll be core range. It retails about €75, maybe 65 quid. It'll be available all the usual places, so Irish malts, although Irish malts are out of it at the minute. There's a shipment left our distillery yesterday heading towards you guys, so it will be back on the shelf or back on the website in Irish malts next week. It'll be available on Actonville's website, in America through Total Wines, in Austria and Germany through Feishaus, on the Feishaus website, and it's available in all the market. It'll be available in all the markets that Dunville is in. So South Africa, Israel, Poland, Slovakia, UK, France, Italy. All the markets we're in. I believe it's heading to China, and wherever else that Stephen McGuinness is pushing it, that's where it'll be. Yeah.
Well, absolutely fantastic. I think we can say it's been a very popular whiskey in the tasting notes section here of the comment section of YouTube and Facebook. I see John McCarthy saying stock for the next few years, core range is excellent. It's wow. And because be proud to gift this to buddies worldwide. I think that's a pretty resounding wrap up there. Tina's asking, Weisshaus in Germany, is that what
Weisshaus in Germany, yeah, we work closely with Weisshaus in Austria and in Germany. What I would say to you, Matt, is there's a 20-year-old version of this that's also core range. That 20-year-old has spent 6.5 years in the cask. Bottled again at 46%, as this one is. If you like this, the 20-year-old will blow you away. I think the 20-year-old had won Ireland's best single malt 18 years and over at the World Whisky Awards this year. And then there's the single cask versions. So this is 1197. It's a single cask strength, 53%. That's been released tomorrow on our website. That whiskey won Ireland's best overall whiskey at the Irish Whiskey Awards in November there. The Palo Cortado range has been very well received, from the 10 through to the 18s and 20s and the 21 single cask. It works with that double distilled spirit that we're maturing, you know.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I mean, it's you can tell. I suppose you can tell that the distillery has been around for quite a long time to have the statements that you have 10 and 20-year-old core range whiskies that'll be around for the next 5 years. Not many of the newcomers in the industry can say that. And also not many of the newcomers in the industry can say that you've been laying down stock for 10 years and not released any of your own stock.
There is that
of course, for a little bit of the old cumber in that blended pot still, but we are all eagerly awaiting the first releases of Ecklandville's own spirit. Not that you've been hoarding it for a while or anything.
Yeah, I think there's been a tug of war in Ecklandville for the last few years. Shane and Stephen are quite keen to get it out. I'm quite happy to not release anything until it's 21 years old. You know, I firmly believe that we don't make a lot of whiskey, and you can only sell it once. And why sell it at 3 or 5 years whenever you can sell it at 10 or 15? That being said, we are now in full first release mode, and it will be this year. I think you'll see both a single malt and a single pot still. Obviously, both farm releases, all barley that has been grown at Ecklandville, floor malted at Ecklandville, fermented, distilled, matured, bottled, palate wrapped at Ecklandville. So we do from ploughing the field to wrapping the palate. It's all done at our distillery, which we're very proud of. And that just means that when it does go out, it is a product of one 42-acre farm. You know, it's terroir and provenance at its
local at its best.
It's locality at its best. You know, it's a singular expression of one 42-acre farm rather than 42 different farms. You know, which is also a fantastic experiment. So yeah, I mean, we're really looking forward to that. It won't go out again until it's right. I think it will go out this year. We have a few casks that are very close to that. If you think we're passionate about Dunvilles, just wait till you
start talking about Ecklandville.
Wait till you see us talking about stuff that we ploughed the fields and grew the barley and you know. So yeah, it's going to be, you know, Dunvilles have been amazing for us. Anybody that knows us knows how much we love it and how proud we are of it. We're custodians of that brand. We had a mission statement to put it back at the top table of world whiskies. That's a long-term goal. I think we're on that trajectory. Ecklandville's a different story. Old Cumberland Ecklandville will be a whole new story, and exciting times ahead, Matt. As it is with Croithlí and Boan and all these places. You know, we're only getting started. We are only we are only, anybody that thinks that the renaissance of Irish whiskies now, the renaissance of Irish whiskies in 15 years' time, whenever there's 45, whenever there's 45 distilleries with 10-year-old core expressions, that's the renaissance of Irish whiskey, and that is we're a bit ahead of the curve in that. I've been distilling since 2013. We're a bit ahead of the curve on that, not much, but that's what we're all looking forward to.
Well, Jared, thank you so much for your time tonight. I very much appreciate it. If you let us know in the comment section what your favorites were tonight, in a 1, 2, 3 order, we love seeing it. There's no winners. Everyone's flavor profile is subjective, so it's always great to see what people didn't like. It's up to you. There's no winners, as I said. Mike D's already jumped in saying that he's a 3-1-2 man, excuse me, for this evening. So it's always great to see. But a very big thank you, of course, to Brendan from Croithlí, who joined us this evening. Then also Michal from Micil, and then of course Jareth, to yourself from Dunville's, and of course Actonville Distillery. A very big thank you. Remember to check out those discount codes if you are a member of 3 Drams. If you're not a member of 3 Drams and you're here watching, what are you doing? Get involved. Get the boxes straight to your door every month. I know that people all around the world, is either their first taste or their first taste of new brands of Irish whiskey, and it's always fantastic to have. A very big thank you to all our guests, all you guys watching home, and of course the guys in Irish Malt and 3 Drams who put this together in every month. I'll leave you with the words of Kevin O'Connell, who just came into the comment section there. He says, "Jesus, lads, isn't Irish whiskey great?" And that's what I'm going to leave you on. Good night.
Thanks,